Ladies and gentlemen, the most prestigious award given by Fishburne is called the Kirchofer, and it's an award named after a former battalion commander here at Fishburne Military School that, through his career and sacrifice in the military, exemplified the highest principles of leadership that could be performed. Lieutenant Kirchofer was in Korea, in charge of a unit, was deep behind enemy lines when that unit came under fire. And there were more troops, more enemies than they had expected. And Lieutenant Kirchofer found himself in a situation where within minutes half of his men were on the ground, dead or wounded, the other half were alive. Lieutenant Kirchofer turned to the men who were alive, and the leaders amongst them divided them into two groups. And to ensure their safety, or at least increase their ability to retreat to a safer location so that they could reassemble, split them into two groups. So this group goes this way, this group takes this path, and I'll go. One of the men in one of the groups turned to Lieutenant Kirchofer and he said to him, "Sir, which group will you be with?" Lieutenant Kirchofer turned and pointed to the men that lay on the ground and he said, "I'll be with them." When Lieutenant Kirchofer knew what was coming, there was enemy approaching. There would be no way out if he stayed. But he also knew that it was the right thing to do as a leader to ensure the safety of the men who were wounded. It was not long before Lieutenant Kirchofer and his men were taken. They were taken to a camp. Lieutenant Kirchofer, uninjured, was placed in with the men that were injured, and that's exactly what he wanted, because over the next days and weeks he began to tend to the wounded. Not only his men, but the other men that were in the camp who were being abused and neglected. The guards at the camp began to recognize that they had someone very special, and although unarmed, and although surrounded by men with heavy arms, was becoming increasingly dangerous by the day. Because a leader like Kirchofer, who could create that kind of loyalty amongst the prisoners, could easily cause problems for the guards. This huge sacrifice that Kirchofer performed was reported when the guards took him out in front of his men and executed. He knew this was coming. He knew that that was the risk. But for his men, he did it anyways. Every year we encourage our seniors, especially our officers and high-ranking NCOs, to do what Kirchofer would do. When you have an 8th grader who's homesick, or you have a 10th grader who's breaking up with his girlfriend, or it's the middle of the dark ages and one of your guys is just falling apart, it's up to you as a leader to tend to him, to make that young man capable of enduring the difficulties. We are blessed this year in that we have had numerous candidates. As the wire closed in on us, the argument continued until this morning. There are so many good leaders in this group. We actually contemplated making more medals than one, but alas, the medal can only go to one of our seniors, and that will go to that senior who most exemplifies the behavior of Lieutenant Kirchofer in caring for his men. I'm going to ask General Fulford, I'm going to ask Mr. Houghton, former Kirchofer recipient, and I'm also going to ask last year's BC, who was the Kirchofer recipient and now at the Naval Academy, to please step forward to help me present this award. Gentlemen. I would also like to ask Cadet Captain Noah Combs to Please step forward.